my gosh.
Isn't it cool?
Whoa.
Oh. Hold on to the rail. Yeah, just a minute.
All right, and I'll just have you folks stop right here at the very bottom, okay? And then I'll have you stay right there. I don't want to pinch your hand. There we go. We're perfect. All right, everyone, come on in here. Welcome to our entrance room. That entrance, all you just walked through, that thing was originally about a 30-inch wide hole. Now that it's so much bigger, pretty much any animal that can wiggle its way through that gate will come down here in the summertime to get out of the heat for a while. The animals that come in the cave, though, they don't stay for a long time, and they don't go deep into the cave because there's not much to eat or do. There are 3 animals that use our cave as a home. We have a cricket that's a unique species to the cave. It's called an unidentified species because nobody has studied it enough to give it a legit name. It is completely blind, and that's just because without the lights on in here, there's nothing to see in this place, trust me. We also have coatis that live in the cave, or people call them coatimundi. They're a relative of the raccoon. I always try and explain them to people. I think they look like if you mixed a badger and a raccoon together, and then you put a lemur's tail on its rear end. They are daytime and nighttime animals, so if I was a betting man, I bet you they're probably down at the campgrounds right now harassing the campers for food. They love to do that. But coatis have little hands like a raccoon, which means they're always trying to break into things around here, and they do succeed every once in a while. The coatis have actually broken into our prickly pear margarita machine in the cafe 2 different times, and that thing is like an old school slushy machine. It has a reservoir that holds about 2.5 gallons. When we came to work in the morning, there was like 8 stumbling drunk coatis on the terrace, and they were pretty darn cranky the next day. So coatis get hangovers, just like humans, and just like humans, they didn't learn their lesson. They came back a second time. Then, of course, we have bats down here. There is 9 species of bats that use the cave. Most of our bats headed to Mexico for the winter, but they're slowly starting to come back. Our 2 most common species, the ones we're going to see if we see any, are called the Townsend's big-eared bat and the cave myotis. The Townsend's big-eared bat is the bigger of the 2. Its body is about the size of my thumb. Its ears together can be close to the size of its body, so it's definitely true to its name. And the first humans we know of to use the cave were the Hohokam Native Americans from right around 900 all the way to 1450 AD. This room we're hanging out in is the room they were using the most. They used it for seasonal shelter, storage, migration purposes, and we're also pretty sure offerings and ceremonies were happening down here. The Hohokam had originally left artifacts throughout this whole room. Unfortunately, the first person to find the cave after them did not own it, and when he got in here, he stole a bunch of the artifacts to decorate his new hotel. That guy was not very good for the cave, and I'll tell you a bit more about him in the next room. But if you look up at the ceiling real quick, can you see that staining right up there? Mm-hmm. That is actually ancient smoke staining from the Hohokam. It goes all the way out to the entrance, and that's because while they were hanging out in here around 1,000 years ago, the Hohokam were having fires right down there where that cobweb-filled hole in a rock is. Yeah. Last of all, for this room, they don't really think the Hohokam explored much past about where I'm standing. That is for a bunch of different reasons. One of the big ones is they really considered caves to be sacred. So being in a cave, it was a bit more time to be spiritual than it was to try and explore the whole place. We're going to head to the Crystal Forest next, everybody. I'll just come past you right over there. Real quick, folks. As you're walking on the stairs, watch your step. The stairs are 90 years old. They're extremely sturdy and tough, but there was no real code to building stairs 90 years ago, and you'll notice that you get different shapes and sizes. About a month ago, right after I said that, I fell down those 2 stairs in front of the group.
Ow.
It was a little embarrassing, yeah.
Oh, no.
I was trying to play it off like I didn't hurt myself, but I was pretty achy. All right, everybody, so we're going to take a left around this corner, and that is where you'll notice one of the gaps in the railing. If you need to touch the rocks on the left, that's okay. Isn't that cool?
Wow. Mom, look.
So see this guy right here? He is named Old Baldy, and for around 146 years, people have rubbed his head for good luck. So he's permanently damaged, and you're allowed to rub his head if you want to. And if I can get like the first 5 of you to come right here, that way I can fit everyone in this room. So you guys can rub his head for good luck if you feel like it. All right, you guys, great, thank you. Right there, if that's okay. And then I'll just stay right here. All right, come on in, everybody. You folks in the back, when you can see me okay, just give me a thumbs up. I try and make sure no one gets stuck in the hallway back there. Perfect. Keep coming in. Awesome. Yeah, I try and make sure we get everyone in here so you guys get to see how cool this place is, too. All right, everybody, welcome to the Crystal Forest. It gets its name because of these thousands of calcite crystal stalactites hanging from the ceiling. Makes it look like an upside-down forest. The really easy way to remember the name stalactite is that they hang tight to the ceiling. And then the ones coming up from the ground, they're all called stalagmites. And the really easy way to remember stalagmite, you might trip over one, so watch out for them. These big formations right here and over there, these are all called flowstone. And then the lower areas, they are called dripstone. The way these formations were made was a layer of calcite-rich water was flowing over these for millions of years. It would deposit really thin layers of calcite crystal, and over a long time they built up to kind of look like giant hunks of melting wax. Also, if you look back at the ceiling, you will notice there is a bunch of stalactites that have flat ends or look like they were broken off. That is not natural. That is all due to cave vandalism. And it brings me back to the first guy that found the cave after the Hohokam. His name was Solomon Lick. He discovered the cave in 1879 when he was wandering the desert looking for a few of his lost cattle. But Solomon Lick did not own the cave or the land around it. He owned a hotel and ranch that was about a mile away from here, and he started using the cave to promote his new hotel. It eventually became a package deal where if you stayed night at his place, Solomon Lick would show you this place, and you could come in here and pretty much do whatever you wanted for almost 44 years. Last of all, for this room is this stalagmite. He is named Old Baldy, and around 146 years ago, as people started coming in here to explore, they would start rubbing Old Baldy's head for a little bit of good luck before they went deeper into the cave. It took off that layer of dust and pollen on him so you get a cool look at the calcite crystal that is underneath all of this in here, and it permanently damaged Old Baldy, so that makes him one of the things in the cave everyone is allowed to touch. As you come by, feel free to give his head a rub. We also use Old Baldy as a kind of get it out of your system crystal. After that, everybody, we are going to meet Fang, our largest stalactite. The safest way to get there, everyone, use the left railing. You're going to go down 3 steps. Once you get to the landing, you transfer over to the right railing.
Go for Mom.
Yeah, I got it, Brandon.
And I'll just have you go right over here. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, so bandits and outlaws used the cave quite a bit in the late 1800s, and we're pretty sure they were drinking heavily in here and started shooting some of the stalactites down for fun. So yeah, things got crazy in the cave during the Wild West times. All right. This is Fang right here. And whoever's in the back, give me a thumbs up. That way I know you can see okay. This big giant stalactite hanging from the ceiling, this guy's named Fang. He is the largest stalactite we know of in the cave. He's pure calcite crystal and estimated to weigh around 4,000 pounds. So it's kind of like a 4-year-old elephant just hanging above my head right now. And Fang got his name because he does an exceptional job of biting our guests and tour guides. So if you are over 5'6", as we walk through here, please watch out for him so you don't have to leave the cave with a new souvenir on your forehead. Also, everybody, when we go around this corner behind me, we're going to head up a few stairs. There's no railing on the stairs. Feel free to use the rocks on your right-hand side as railing. They've been touched thousands of times like old Baldy. And you taller folks, as you head up the stairs, watch your head again because there's a ledge that'll sneak up on you. When we get in the next room, I have a picture of a coati on my phone so you can get an idea of what they look like. And I'll tell you about the guy that pretty much saved the cave, and that's the reason we get to see it how it is today. Follow me, folks. All right, bud, so right over here, these are okay to touch. And then watch your head coming right up here. There's a rock.
Gosh. Oh, man.
Watch your head. Good job.
Made it.
Good. I try and tell you about all this stuff because I've hit my head on everything in here.
Oh, no.
It's all over down the floor almost.
Whoa.
Right. What we'll do, I'll have you come right over here, and we'll do kind of a big half circle, and I have a picture of a coati on my phone so you can see what they look like. They are cute. If I can find it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'll have you guys come right along here, and we'll just do a big half circle. And right here, this is one of our coatis. His name is Alfonso.
Aww.
And can you see the building in the background?
So
That is our break room. Every once in a while, when you're trying to cook lunch in the break room, you'll hear scratching at the door, and you'll see Alfonso's nose going back and forth. And he'll stand in the doorway, and he's pretty persistent until you throw something off to the side for him to eat. This same coati, I'm pretty sure it was this one, he got into one of the ladies' purses in the cafe, and he stole cookies out of it. She thought he had torn a big hole in her expensive purse. He actually unzipped it. So if you're camping down at the campgrounds, just so you know, coatis know how to unzip tents. Yeah, crazy.
No.
If anybody wants to come over here, absolutely feel free to. I just want to make sure everyone can see this. This big piece of dripstone right up there is the drapes, and it's the reason this room gets called the drapery room. Looks like a set of drapes or curtains. When you see dripstone in singular form, kind of like those ones, then they're called cave bacon, and I'm pretty sure everyone can guess why. Also, if you look directly above where I'm standing right here, this is a fault line that helped form the cave. Don't worry, it hasn't moved in about 25 million years, so I think we're pretty good. Also, I told you guys just a little tiny bit about the stalagmites and stalactites. Well, they grow when they're wet, kind of like an icicle in the winter, just a lot slower. Takes them about 100 years of being wet to get an average of about a cubic inch of growth on them, and that's it. Then over a very, very long time, when a stalagmite and a stalactite meet, then they are called a column. Also in this room, you can see all these flat ends from people in the early days breaking the crystals. It does bring me to the guy that pretty much saved the cave, and that is the only reason we get to see it how it is today. His name is Frank Schmidt. Frank moved out here in 1918. He had no connection to this cave, but he ended up going on one of the really early tours. And when he got in here and saw people slowly destroying the place, it really bothered Frank. So he started saving his money. Frank saved until 1922 when he had enough and he bought the rights to the cave. The first thing Frank did was protect it. Nobody could enter the cave now without having a tour guide with us. Of course, your only tour guide back then was Frank. And his big business idea for his new giant cave, if you handed Frank 25 cents, he would hand you a candle and a rope. And you got to follow him around this place by candlelight for the day. There was no lighting system, floors, or railings in here yet. And in the middle of this room, it bees down to nearly a 40-foot drop below us. So you can imagine it was a pretty difficult tour. Then in 1929, the stock market crashed and the depression was starting and nobody was spending money on tours. And Frank's out here struggling. He was trying to figure out different ways to make money because he had moved his family out here with him. He got his answer for the cave in 1933 when a group called the CCC formed, or the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was thousands of 18 to 24-year-old men building roads, dams, and parks throughout the country trying to combat the depression. Frank wanted the CCC in here, but he had a really big problem. Frank was a private owner. The CCC only worked on public property. Someone's phone's ringing. It's not.
This thing over here.
Oh! Well, that. Hello? That has never happened before. Yeah, I've never heard that phone ring.
It was a Quaddy.
Yeah, well, either that or it was Frank. He really liked this place. Yeah, I've never heard that thing ring before. Where was I? Oh, CCC. So, CCC would only work on public property, but Frank was a private owner. So in 1934, Frank actually approached the state of Arizona. He got into talks with them, and he ended up giving the cave back to the state absolutely free, but he had a few conditions to the deal. Frank wanted to live on the property with his family. He wanted to be conservator of the cave, and he wanted to give tours until he physically could not do it anymore. Frank was given tours through the cave till he was 84 years old.
Wow.
He passed away a year later at 85 in 1957, and Frank actually passed away in the gift shop because back then that was his home. And I was just going to say, he is known to visit us every once in a while. Frank's not mean, he just checks in on the cave. His most important condition though, get the CCC workers in here immediately, and they were down here for 4 years, from 34 to 38. 400 CCC workers hand-built all the walkways, railings, buildings up top. They also built the first lighting system, and it was a big deal to have a lit cave back then. Also had a pretty big problem to it. It was basically like the old Christmas lights down here. If one bulb burnt out in the cave, the whole lighting system shut off, and then they would send people down to start checking bulbs. At that time, there was around 2,000 bulbs in the cave. So that sounds super fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I got one last thing for this room, everybody. You folks back there come a little closer towards this wall. I just want to make sure everyone can see the wall my flashlight is on. If you pretend you're on one of Frank's old tours with a candle and a rope and you got turned around down here, trying to find your way out of the cave with no walkways or lighting system is confusing, so Frank would always point out cave formations and they can help guide you. This one is called the Cave Witch. That is her scraggly hair. She's got an eye, big wart on her cheek, long nose right there. She's got one snaggle tooth in her mouth because she's always chomping on that limestone biscuit. And she is kind of creepy looking, but she is a very, very nice witch. The witch's nose points you towards the entrance to the cave. Way back in the day, she had pointed a lot of turned around cavers in the right direction. She's also been stuck in this room for a long time and it gets lonely. So she used her witch powers and created a few buddies to hang out with. Her first friend is going to be Shadow the kitty cat, the perfect witch companion right there. Also off to the right, there's an old cartoon character you might recognize. If you look right over here, that fella right there is named Mr. Magoo. And you remember Mr. Magoo, he's a little old man that's always getting lost because his vision is terrible. So if you follow his nose, you're going to go deeper into the cave to get lost just like him. There's one last set of cartoon characters that are a little more modern the kids might recognize. If you take a look over here, you can see good old SpongeBob sitting right next to his best friend Patrick right there. And trust me, I know these are super cheesy. I love to show them anyways. What we're going to do next, everybody, is we're going to end up taking a left down this hallway over here. As you go down the hallway, you will notice 3 gold circles in a picture frame. That is the weather station. It's going to tell you it's 71 degrees down here, and the reason I know that, it's always 71 degrees down here. The cave itself goes a maximum of about 120 feet below the mountain surface, and since the cave doesn't go super deep, it doesn't get cold in here. After you see the weather station, we are going to check out the bottomless pit. There's a really cool crystal right here. Oh, yeah. This one.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Whoa.
cool. Check this out.
Mom,
It
look.
also glows, and I can only show you guys in the front, but if you look right here, this one
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
actually glows a pink
Whoa.
color. Isn't that cool?
Oh, it's so cool.
Awesome.
Right here is the weather station, everybody. We still find old matchbooks and burnt candles in here all the time, too.
Keep going, Brandon. There's stairs right there. Be careful.
Yeah.
Hold on to the rail.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold the rail.
You doing all right?
Yeah,
You're doing
I'm fine.
great. Good job.
I'm fine.
So we're going to go down to the end of this hallway, and then we're going to go down that staircase. Oh, it's fine, yeah.
Wow.
I'm in here every day, and nothing bad's ever happened, I promise.
Whoa.
It can be a little scary, though, right? Because you're walking around inside of a mountain.
Whoa. Nice.
Whoa.
All right, everybody. Up here on the right, you're going to see a deep hole with a light hanging in it. It's called the bottomless pit. It's not really bottomless, but it does go down over 5 stories. And you can definitely trust me, if you drop something down there, it's not going to come out for a long time. The reason I know that, a teenage boy tossed his hat down there to see what would happen, and you can probably guess what happened. He left the tour without a hat.
Oh no.
There is also a very strong rumor there's a lady's iPhone at the bottom of that hole.
Okay.
Oh no.
As you come down this hallway a bit further, everyone, you're going to see a couple artifacts that were found in the entrance room from the Hohokam. The first one is called a mano and metate. It was used for grinding softer things like corn, seeds, and berries. And then there's a mortar from a mortar and pestle. It was used for grinding harder things like the red clay in the display case. They used it for pottery and paint. We're all going to head to the movies and popcorn room next.
Okay.
Sesame Street actually did an episode in this
Oh,
room.
I know that show.
And Disney did a movie down here in the
Oh, did he?
1970s.
I
What?
like the
Yes, the Disney
Yeah.
movie is called Outlaw Cats of Colossal
wait.
Cave.
Oh, I hold of that.
yeah. I just
Oh.
Wow.
whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
kind of opens up a little
Oh.
more. That hallway can be kind of tight.
Yeah.
All right, guys, follow me around to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Whoa.
10, 11, 12. Are you with these guys? Or are you?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
Yes, yep, there's still more of us.
Okay, I'm going to have you stay right there if that's okay. I'm going to have you guys go right over there. We'll have, this room's always tough because they split it in half with a bar, so I got to do math and try and count out the right number of people. Come on in, everybody. You guys have been awesome. So for the fun groups, I'm going to go right past you up those stairs. I hide a crystal up here for the fun groups, and that way, You can kind of feel the weight and density of these things. This is an old broken stalactite. It is pure calcite crystal. This room we're in, it is called the Movies and Popcorn Room. It gets the popcorn part of its name because these walls kind of look like popcorn. If you want, you can come in on this side too. I want to make sure you're able to see as well. Yeah. I'm going to tell you all about the popcorn, but first I want to tell you a short story on how our cave formed. It was about 70 million years ago. You had two giant rock plates, and they are pushing on each other, creating heat and pressure. There was a big event in North America called the Laramie Orogeny. Out here, it was basically just a giant upheaval. The upheaval is what created the Rincon mountain range we're all walking around inside right now. The other thing it did is create cracks in the rocks that allowed water to seep down here and really gather. Once the water got into the cave, it absorbed four main things into it. It absorbed calcite, or calcium carbonate, and that's what that crystal is made out of. It also picked up carbonic and sulfuric acid and a bunch of carbon dioxide. You had this acidic, bubbly solution that's slowly eating and eroding away the softer limestone and sedimentary stone in here. All the rocks around us are limestone, but a lot of it is called Escabrosa limestone. That rock has been compressed and heated for millions of years, making it a much stronger, denser rock. It was harder for the acid water to eat it away. So when our cave eventually dried out, you didn't get the caves you see sometimes with just giant, massive rooms inside. Instead, you got a giant cave that looks like a big hunk of Swiss cheese inside. There are holes and tunnels everywhere, and none of it makes any sense, I promise. But we know, thank you, of over 39 miles down here. The crazy thing is, we have no clue how big this cave really is. It has never been close to fully mapped, and I think in this day and age to have that much mystery to a place is pretty darn cool. So back to the popcorn, everybody. It was around 12,000 years ago, Arizona was turning into a desert and the cave started to dry out. And the water line in this room was right about up there where that big white line is. As the cave dried out, all the walls soaked in the solution had to dry out, and they pushed out the calcite, carbon dioxide, and acid, and our walls were blowing millions of tiny little bubbles. The bubbles became the popcorn, and it's also very commonly called cave coral. The really cool thing about this room, in 2021 we had a crazy monsoon season out here. Water actually returned to the cave, and there was a waterfall flowing down this staircase. This room had gotten about 8 inches of standing water in it, and it felt like it was raining in here. So if we take a look at the walls with a black light, I can actually show you the little tiny layers of new growth that happened. So if you look up here, you're going to see a bunch of lighter blotches. Those are little tiny layers of new growth that happened a few summers ago. And the reason it's so important to us, a lot of people had said this cave is dead. You might get a trickle of water in here. They never expected whole rooms to come back alive, so it was quite unexpected. It was really cool, but the humidity in here was right around 100%, so it was a little muggy in here. You want to see something way cooler than that, everybody? I'm gonna check this out. The cave walls can actually absorb the glow from the black light. So I can come in here and do cave drawings and I don't get in trouble with work. And there's some young people on the tour, so let's see if I remembered initials. We have a C. We have an L.
That's cool.
We have an E. We also have an F. And then we also have an I. Did I miss anybody? Does anybody want an initial on the wall? Just yell a letter out. All right, well, I can decently draw hearts and stars, but that's as artistic as I get down here. You want to see something else that's really cool? It's not the popcorn that's actually glowing. It's the calcite crystal all the popcorn's made out of. So even the stalagmites and stalactites in the cave will hold a glow as long as the bats haven't gone to the bathroom all over them. Calcite is what's called a naturally phosphorescent crystal. When this wavelength of light enters the crystal, it starts exciting electrons in there and they're bouncing around. It basically turns the crystal into a primitive light battery. It'll absorb a certain amount of that energy. You take the energy source away and it slowly pushes it back out. All right, everybody, I showed you my nerdy side. I told you all about the popcorn in here. I didn't mention anything about movies. Well, we've had over 25 different movies and shows filmed in the cave. We've had National Geographic, Sesame Street, even Disney did a movie in here in the 70s. But to be totally honest, most of the movies filmed in the cave, really bad, low-budget, scary movies, which I absolutely love. And my favorite from the cave is called Night of the Lepus. It's about giant genetically modified bunny rabbits that live in the cave. They're killer bunny rabbits, so they go to the surface and they attack a town and ranch. They actually attacked Ajo, Arizona, that's just west of here, but it's all filmed in the 70s, so they didn't have computer graphics. They built a giant model of Ajo, then they stuffed it full of bunny treats, and they let loose a whole herd of real life bunny rabbits to hop through the model town and destroy it. Bless you. They didn't do anything to make the bunnies look scary, so they look like these elephant-sized cuddly bunny rabbits destroying a town. It's pretty entertaining to watch. If you are super bored tonight, the only place I found it is on Amazon to rent for some reason, and I have no clue why, but if you don't want to waste $2.99, go on YouTube. There's plenty of clips. See how awful of a movie it really is. Sesame Street, they actually did their thing in this room. It was about Big Bird and Cookie Monster, and they came down here searching for magic birdseed and stolen cookies, and when Big Bird got into this room, he immediately noticed this giant rock right here. It is named the Cave T-Rex. You can see the eye, brow, nose, and then his giant crack for a mouth. Well, as soon as Big Bird saw him, he thought that was a real live T-Rex. I think we can all agree, technically, Big Bird's a giant chicken, right? He got so scared of him, he turned around, ran away from him. Big Bird ran directly through that wall. That is our It is a natural formation called a keyhole formation. When Big Bird broke through there, he found the cookies and birdseed on the other side. So the official name of this room is not Movies and Popcorn. This is the Grotto of Lost Treasures because of Sesame Street. This room behind me, everybody, is called the altar room. Ever since the CCC built the stairs, we've held weddings in that room. And we know some of the CCC workers came back and married their brides up there. And then, as we head down this hallway, everybody, you're going to see a display case from Bandits and Outlaws on your right, who did use the cave as a hideout during the late 1800s. This cave is connected to at least 4 different train robberies, and there are legends of missing gold down here. Also, during Prohibition, when alcohol was illegal, moonshiners were making a bunch of booze in the cave. Right up here, bud. This is the Bandits and Outlaws display case. Okay. It's stuff they found in the cave from them.
That's neat.
Yeah, I think the human history of this place is crazy.
Yeah.
It was even a bomb shelter towards the end of World War II and during the Cold War.
Oh my God. That's really cool.
So that's Frank's hat and carbide headlamp he would use. That thing shot fire out of the hole in the front, so you had this little blowtorch on your forehead. Super safe. Yeah.
Wow.
The CCC guys would take the carbide headlamps off and they would use the flame to write on the walls.
Cool. Look, there's the information on them with them. That's awesome. Wow.
All right, everybody, as you come down this hallway a bit further, you're going to see good old Frank's display case. There's one of the candles and ropes he would give out for tours. There's also Frank's actual hat and carbide headlamp. A carbide headlamp is quite similar to strapping a little blowtorch right to your forehead, and if you hit your head hard on a rock, it would shake the ingredients inside up. They were known to overpressurize and explode, so super safe. And then there's canned corned beef in there because that's what Frank would give you for lunch. Up next, you're going to see the CCC display case.
Wow.
Oh.
Stop here real quick. So the CCC, they only used hand tools in the cave. They did not use any power tools or explosives down here. And the thing I think is really cool, they only modified roughly 3% of the cave walls to get people through here. They tried to keep these passageways as natural as possible. We're going to go back down this same hallway to a new staircase. The bottomless pit will be on your left this time.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
You guys got any questions or anything? Feel free to ask.
No, but this is so cool.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah. Holy cow.
There's little Kawadi prints on that transformer.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Stunning.
Gosh. Oh, that's cool.
go on, Brendan, keep going.
See?
Yeah, I know.
Doing?
I know, it's okay. I'm getting video.
Everybody's coming. They're coming.
I will tell you, like, one of my favorite things about this cave, besides the cave itself, is the amount of wildlife out here that you get to see. I just find it so much fun. Yeah. Oh, let me see. I want to make sure it's caught up.
I think it's
All right, everybody. We are going to head down a big staircase in a second. Please just watch your step and use the railing on the right. But when we get to the bottom of the stairs, I'm going to point out a big stalactite that looks like a piece of corn on the cob. Her name is Cornelia.
Cornelia.
cornmeal.
Follow the rail, man.
I love that.
You don't.
Yeah.
No, not good. I'm just gonna look around.
Careful, Sam.
I am being careful.
Does it look like corn? It's
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, doesn't
Yeah, I
it?
see
Yeah,
it.
it does.
All right, everybody. When you get to the bottom of the stairs, take a look up. You'll see lovely Cornelia. After you all see Cornelia, we're going to make our way into the living room.
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rocks hurt. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not fun.
Mm-mm.
Mom, can I go home?
Not
No.
bad.
not yet.
We're over halfway done through the tour, bud.
Not done.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna start making our way up to the surface after this room.
Should be having fun, dude.
I'm having fun.
I got it.
It's a lot of stairs, I get it. I'll have you guys head right over there, okay? Thank you. And again, if anybody has any questions as we're coming in here, feel free to ask them. Watch your head. Oh, that one gets me sometimes too.
Where's the second tour done? I know.
Oh, the advanced tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is done on the east side of the cave,
Oh, okay.
and we have two different routes. Remember the drapery room?
Yes.
So one of the routes you go from the drapery room and kind of do a big loop, and then the second one that we used to do, it goes in through a side of the cave called the Bat Cave,
Gotcha.
and you actually go up to one of the old entrances called the Bandits Escape, and it's where they think bandits actually escaped the cops back in the day.
Got it.
The cops hung out at the front entrance trying to starve them out. The bandits went out the side entrance. So we'll scooch in a little bit more. Anybody got questions back here or anything? Feel free to ask.
Yeah, that's something you and I'll do.
Yeah. Some move down a little bit.
Alright.
We just went through a spot back here, it looked like maybe there was a lot of water in that area too. There was like some popcorn.
Yeah, it looked kind of almost like rippling water, but it was dry. So that is called the Silent River. It's where they believe water flowed through the cave in the ancient past when it was wet. So it still looks like that, but that hasn't been wet in a very, very long time. But yeah, it's called the Silent River. Sir, in the back, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, if you need me to speak up, just yell, Adam, speak up. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Yeah.
What would they do if they had to go to the bathroom?
In all honesty, Number ones probably just happened in the dirt. Number twos, they would go in a bucket or they had to climb out of the cave and go. Yeah. Not fun, huh? So this room, everybody, is called the living room. Before I tell you why, I want to tell you a really cool piece of history on this room. In 1917, that's before the walkways or anything was here, this was base camp for the very first mapping expedition. The University of Arizona put it on. And they mapped down here for 6 days straight. That's when they found the 39 miles. It was sometime on the 6th day they realized they were super low on food. So rather than restock, they picked everything up and left. And when they got out, the lead guy of the expedition had told a few people, that cave is colossal. We have no clue how big it is. It kind of stuck, and that's how it got named Colossal Cave. It was originally named Mountain Springs Cave after that Solomon Lichtgeist Hotel. But after all the damage he allowed to happen in here, they wanted to give it a new name. Now, the reason this is called the living room is because Frank used it as a living room for him and his family in the summers. He had his wife and children, and later his tours, rappelling down that hole over there about 3.5 stories. They would lower themselves in their gear, and Frank lowered a couch down that hole back in the day. He had it sitting right over here. The reason he was doing all that stuff, well, the gift shop, and before that, just a little wooden structure was Frank's house, and you could imagine being stuck up there in the middle of an Arizona summer. If you have a 71-degree cave directly out of your front door, you had to be a pretty popular guy back then, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
I got one more thing to show you in this room, but before I do, I want to tell you about the next room. The next room's called the cathedral room, and it's not very big. So rather than trying to jam people in there, I'm going to have about half of you come in. I'm going to show you guys everything. I'll have you move forward a bit, and then I will make sure you folks in the back get to see everything too. There's no railing on this stairs, folks. If you need to touch the rocks on the left, that's absolutely fine. And make sure you go up the next set of stairs on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, there's a formation like this one that'll bite the top of your head. But the last thing I wanted to show you in here, I put a glove on because I'm going to touch this rock. It is named the Cave Base.
Oh, wow.
Hear that, Brandon?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
And it sounds hollow. It is a solid rock. Trust me. It's how it hangs from the ceiling like that. And it's got quite a thick layer of calcite crystal on it. That crystalline structure on the rock allows it to reverberate and make cool tones. All right, everybody, follow me. At the bottom of these stairs, you're going to be in the deepest part of the tour, about 80 feet below the mountain surface. And as you come up the next set of stairs, remember to come up on the left-hand side. That's the mean one right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Watch your head.
I had 2 people get stitches. Careful.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And watch out right here, everybody, too.
Yikes!
Yeah, watch your head, Brandon. Come over here.
I'll have you come to right here if that's okay. And what I'll do is I'm going to show this room, and then I'm going to show that glowing. And after you get your pictures and you're ready to move forward, I'll have you folks go right on top of those 2 stairs back there, and that way everyone kind of gets to walk underneath it and see it. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. This room you're coming into is called the cathedral room. It gets that name for a few reasons. One, you can hear the echo. They thought it sounded like a big church or cathedral, and they named those 4 stalagmites sitting there the 4 praying nuns. The nun on the far right, I can actually see really well, but the one on the far left looks a lot more like a thumbs up to me. Also, there is a gargoyle that lives in this room. So if you look up into the left, right there is the gargoyle's face. He's got a big front paw right there. And then the gargoyle's wing goes up and does that little curl at the end. And then the last thing has nothing to do with cathedrals. I just like to show it because it's one of my favorite glowing things in here. That is this hole right up here. That is not new growth up there. That's very old stuff, but luckily the bats don't hang out up there and go to the bathroom all over it, so it stays glowing. And your best picture, everybody, is going to be when you walk underneath it. Are you guys ready? Mm-hmm. Awesome, thank you. I'll have you head up to those 2 stairs, and watch your step right through here, folks. There's some small divots in the ground.
Yeah.
Well, careful.
I'm right here.
Whoa!
Right here.
How far does he run?
Yeah, keep going a little further, and you can stand right on top of those 2 stairs.
I hope I'm not too far
right here.
down.
Correct.
This is white. I like this.
You like it?
Come over here.
Kind of thought you would.
Come in here.
It's different.
Well, everybody's got
It's nice and cool
space.
down here too.
Everybody make space for him.
Hear the echo. They thought it sounded like a big church or cathedral. And then the four stalagmites sitting there are named the four praying nuns. The one on the right, I can see it seems to get a lot less nutty the further left you go.
What?
The one on the right is fine.
The next staircase is really steep. And you have to hang
Good.
it. Goes up like this.
I know.
That's cool.
And the last thing, we got here.
I already have pictures of all this. So I'm not gonna take it. But I would like a picture of all of this. Never done. You know. It's up there.
You okay?
Watch your head.
Well, why is he getting out?
We're working our way out, Brandon. We're at the
Getting
bottom.
out.
See that staircase right there?
Yeah.
That's where we're headed, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna start going up now.
Toward the entrance of the cave. Adeline is his wife. I love that
I'm
name.
gonna make my way to the
Pretty.
front. Don't worry, I got my own cave guide route, so I don't have to squeeze past everyone. We're gonna go up the staircase in a second, everybody. Watch your right shoulder going up those stairs. There's a couple rocks that stick out. Thank you for doing that. Also, everybody, if you look in front of you as you go up the stairs, you will see the construction shaft. It was built in 1935 by the CCC. It was a hand cranked elevator they used to bring stuff in and out of the cave. You okay, bud?
Yeah.
Did you bonk your head?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. It happens.
He's good.
You're fine.
He's doing well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
No, this has been a fun tour. You guys have been awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. Love it.
Yeah. All right, you taller folks, as you head up the stairs, watch out for these rocks. They'll bite you.
They bite me.
Not literally.
We'll stop here and catch our breath for a second.
Okay.
If when we get out of here, bud, if you need an ice pack, I'll get you one. Okay?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
All
All
right.
right, come on forward, Brandon.
Oh, my head.
So one more thing about that construction shaft, everyone. When you're leaving here today, you will notice a big exit sign in our parking lot. If you look to the left of the exit sign, you'll see a little structure. It looks like a doghouse sitting there. That is the top to the construction shaft. So if you think about it a bit more, that means right now we're all standing directly underneath the parking lot. Gives you an idea of where we're at on the property. I do tell people, though, if that makes you super uncomfortable, never mind, it was a terrible joke. Don't pay attention to it. This big formation right up here is called the Silent Waterfall. It's much more the flowstone and dripstone we saw earlier. I always use this formation as my perfect example. If you think of the cave water that used to be down here as kind of like the hard water you can get at your house, and you left your shower on for millions of years, your shower might end up looking like that.
It's kind of cool.
All right, everybody, we are going to head to the last room called the sinkhole. When you get to the end of this hallway, you're going to go down a few stairs. Those stairs are quite narrow. I would sidestep down them. And at the bottom of the stairs, watch out, there's a rock named Forehead Masher.
No.
I did wash your head.
Yep, everyone watch your head coming up here.
Yeah, sure.
This hallway is called the bowling alley. And that's
Bowling alley?
because if you look right over here, you can see a ball and
Oh,
a pin right
yeah.
there. And watch your head right through here, everybody, too.
Oh no.
This one will sneak up on you.
The bowling pin.
Kind of cool.
And see right here, there's this little area where it kind of sticks up.
Oh yeah.
Right there, so watch out for that.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Like I said, I would sidestep down these
Ready?
stairs and watch your head at the bottom. We're all going to gather up at the sinkhole.
Yeah, side step.
Watch out right here, because then this step comes up. Good.
You're fine.
Oh yeah, that's a long way down.
That's cool. Love this. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah, down.
You're good.
It's okay.
Do have a few rocks and crystals in here if anybody wants one.
Ooh.
Want a little crystal or anything?
Yeah, I want one. I want one.
Awesome. And then if you guys don't mind, you can come right over here. You can go down and look down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys want, I'm going to talk about this room, so if you guys want to take a left
What's
down
for the
there,
color?
that's
Ooh.
fine. Feel free to take
Brennan,
one.
this
I
way.
like the backpack here.
This way.
This way?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Not
That's
yet.
No, not
Stay
yet.
here.
So, I need some people to kind of go down to that little lane so we can fit everyone.
Get that landing down there, yes.
All right, kids, I got some.
I got a crystal.
You get your rock, Brandon? I mean, song?
Yeah.
You get your rock, Brandon?
I'm the rock.
Okay.
Pocket without
Don't
doing
lose
what I
it.
just did. Yep, watch. All right, here. You don't have to take that one if you don't want to. I appreciate you picking it up. You can pick any one you want. Thank you, guys. Anybody wants one, feel free. Here you go, bud.
I got a rock.
I did too.
I got one too in my head.
Want a little rock? How about you, bud? You want one?
You have one?
Oh, my gosh.
Brandon,
Take a picture right
Brandon,
down there.
come on.
come down.
I'm down.
Go ahead and take one.
Okay, you're good.
Look down there.
Oh my.
All right, everybody. So this room
No.
is called the sinkhole. But if you happen to look down, did you see something down there?
There's a pencil.
Yeah, good eye, man. If you look down to the very bottom of the sinkhole, you'll also notice there's stairs down there. Those are the stairs going into the living room, which means we're all standing at the top portion of Frank's shortcut. This is where he lowered his wife, children, tours, and a big couch. And Frank was tying everybody off to that stalagmite right there in front of me. There's years of rope wear on the thing. There's also a little tiny hook somebody embedded in it, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue what that hook was for, but I really hope they weren't putting weight on it. It gets even better too, because if we look at the whole stalagmite under a black light, you will notice little blue speckles all over this thing. That is a bunch of old candle wax. And apparently this side used to have a pretty thick layer of candle wax on it. Because what they were doing is tying the rope off right here, setting the candles down right over here, and then rappelling over. And that's even safer, right? I do have really good news. There was 0 reported deaths on any of Frank's tours. Also back then, there was nobody who reported a cave death too, so I really have no clue at all. I do know this though. Geologists think this stalagmite, this whole formation sitting right here, is one of the older and larger ones in the cave. They think this is about the same age as Fang. Fang is right next door to us right now. So we are standing with some of the oldest and largest formations. Like that column right back there, geologists think is right around 50 to 60 million years old. I got one last cool thing to show you, and then we'll head out of here, everybody. Remember when I gave the rock a tap and it made a cool sound? Well, the crystals can do it too. I only tap them very gently with this because it's made out of rubber and it won't damage the crystals. They are called cave bells. They sound hollow They're solid crystal. It's the purity and shape of the crystal that allows them to reverberate and make tones. So some make amazing tones.
Sounds like my house.
Some, nothing. Yeah. I'm going to bring a couple of my favorite ones as we head out of here. This is the last room. You guys were awesome. Thank you for coming today. And thank you for laughing at some of my stupid jokes, because my kid doesn't laugh at any of my dad jokes. As we're heading out of here, we're going to go past Old Baldy again. Those stairs get quite narrow going down, so I would sidestep those as well. And when you get out of here, really try to drink some water. The cave's really good at taking the water out of you.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or you just want to talk, I will be hanging out up top. You guys feel free to ask all the questions you want. And again, folks, my name's Adam. If you enjoyed the tour, I do accept Venmo or regular tips or online reviews. Unless you're leaving a bad review, then I've lied to all of you, and my real name is actually Eric, okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and let's head out of here.
Okay,
Wait, Brandon. Your pen.
Right up here is two more of my favorite cake smells, everyone. Everyone be very careful. Watch your head on the right coming up these stairs. There's a couple low-hanging rocks you can bonk your head on.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old thing.
I've done it twice.
Kind of back to the beginning. Old Baldy's right here. And then everyone watch your step going down this staircase. These stairs get narrow.
Oh, it's been hard.
Yeah, really watch your step going down those. There's a ring-tailed cat that's been hanging around this area. So I always try and keep an eye out for them. Those things are adorable. Yeah. He's just hanging there by himself. Yeah, I've seen them a few times. They're about the size of a small house cat with these long black and white tails. Alright, there he is. Come on. Hi, buddy. That is one of the myotises, that cave myotis. You know, these are fun.
Good.
Yeah, you wrote. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of a dork, so when I come in here, the bats really hang out. I always stand out there with my finger up to see if one will land on it. They never have, but
Don't do that.
just about 4 years now. I was a firefighter for 20 years. Decided I want to do something new. Found this. Absolutely. All right, everybody. We have made it to the last staircase. You survived my tour. Awesome job, everyone. Watch your head on the left coming out here. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks.
What is it?
We're out, Brandon.
Get out.
Yeah.
You have fun?
I have fun, yes. Just wait for it.
Okay. You have fun?
Yes.
Come on, Brandon.